My name is Bruce Tillen. I used to live in Arrowhead, and I was involved with moving buildings near the end of when they tore down the town site of Arrowhead. And I moved the teacherage building. That's where the teachers lived when they taught school in Arrowhead. And moved that up, dropped it off at Greenslide, and it ended up by Kozak Sawmill in a subdivision there. The second building was a bunkhouse for the forestry, and that was quite a bit bigger building, and that got dropped off or taken to the Greenslide. And the third and the last one was the main house for the forest warden that used to live in Arrowhead. So the barge was left at Arrowhead, and I took the tug and parked it, and it came back about a week later, and they had moved the house from where it sat onto the barge. The ferry or the house was not really square on the house. It was sort of a little bit off kilter, and so I hooked the boat up, and it was that time I realized that there were people in the building. There was kids looking out the windows and that took me back. I thought, what the heck? So just before we got underway, Ivan Graham, who was the owner of the house, said, I've borrowed somebody else's little tugboat we're going to tie to the front of your barge and help you steer up the river. Which I was surprised, and I guess in hindsight I should have said, no, I don't think I need help, but we did it that way. We got underway right up to about the Sidmouth Ferry. Now the Sidmouth Ferry goes back and forth on a cable, and there's a couple of huge towers. So the cable that crosses the river has quite a low spot. And so therefore I had to take the house, because it was a tall house, and the chimney barely fit under the cable, so I had to go right over to the edge of the wharf to sneak underneath it. And so I was right near shore, and as I crossed underneath the cable, I started pushing the barge out into the river. That meant that the stern of the boat was over in the mud and not kicking up dirt, so I focused on that. When I was far enough away to realize it was safe, I looked around to see where this little boat was, and it was over sort of like 2 o'clock type thing, and the barge had gone by this little tugboat that this Ivan and his son were in it. And by this time the ferry, like the barge, the boat and the barge were picking up speed. So the boat and the barge were picking up speed, and it had passed the little boat, and it was pulling the little boat backwards. And it was a hollow boat, like an outboard. It wasn't a sealed compartment. And I put my boat in full reverse, and it's like trying to stop a train. It takes a long time. Anyway, it pulled it back, and it just slowly rolled over and sunk the boat. And with it was the father and the son in there. So I shut everything down and ran up to see what was going on. They both popped to the surface, thank goodness. And I had a school chum that was my deckhand, and we pulled the boy up, and then we pulled Ivan up. And meanwhile, the family's hanging out the windows, screaming and crying, and certainly understandable. So the boat was sunk. There was the cable disappearing into the water, and I couldn't move anything, so we tied a rope around the end of the cable and cut the cable to let the little boat that was already underwater go. And I pushed it back into shore, and that was the end of my moving of that house. I went and I contacted the captain of the MV Lardo then, Kenny Miller, and he finished taking the house up to Greenslide. It wasn't a very fun story because it was my whole childhood area being removed or deleted, burnt down, covered up, dismantled. And So it's a sad tale in its own way, but this is a story that nobody got hurt, and everybody lived happily ever after. My family was really affected. My dad, it really crushed my dad. We had a big house in Arrowhead, built in 1904, looked right down the lake. It was a big house. The living room was 20 by 40 feet, and that's where all the town gathered when they had a party of any size type thing. But it really broke his heart to have to leave that house. Everyone knew that the Arrowhead Dam was going to be built in Castlegar, and but nobody really knew too much. And then BC Hydro had representatives that would come in and to purchase the property. Usually they sort of slid in and tried to meet with property owners independently, one-on-one, and a lot of people weren't prepared or didn't know their prices, and consequently were either threatened, if you don't settle for this price, we're going to take it anyway, or whatever. So it really was poorly done on BC Hydro's and the government's behalf, because it really did let the people of the whole valley, from Revelstoke, and I don't know too much about Valemont, but from Revelstoke all the way down to Burton and throughout that whole area, there's a lot of bitterness, and disrupted a lot of people's lives, because everyone was happy, and it was in a great fertile valley for agricultural and logging. My dad and my mom, they made their living. He had off-highway logging trucks, and at one time they thought of making our old house into a bed and breakfast type thing, which would have been great, because we could have had about 10 bedrooms in that house. It was a big house, and it wasn't even a question of can they stay, because our house was there was never any indication it was going to be underwater. So there was probably more than half of Arrowhead was above the water line. So it could have been saved, and they could have put a road in or whatever was decided. But it was easier just to buy everybody up and shut everything down. And so when the land clearing came in, that was the first shot of reality, where you'd see nice fields, and all of a sudden, and trees around in forest, and pretty soon it was all pushed flat, burnt, and stumps. So by the time that it was time to move out, the land had been mostly cleared, the buildings gone, it was a dust bowl, and by then we were just glad to be out of there, because there was nothing left, no buildings, and nothing but memories. And I took my parents and some family friends back to Arrowhead on the tugboat a couple years after, and after they had been there, Harding Rudd said, I really wish I had not gone back, because I wish I could have remembered Arrowhead the way it was. And I think that's the underlying factor, is a lot of people, you don't really want to go back, because memories are usually better than sometimes when you go back and see it's all rough landscape and rocks and logs.